Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for the opportunity to present to all of you again. I hope some of you remember my presentation from Expat 101. So we're going to build on some of those key concepts this morning. What I've put on the agenda for this morning is to discuss the Mobility Remuneration Policy Design Principles, the remuneration methodologies which are used by a lot of as best practice out there regarding expatriates, the categories of expats, and then also the big elephant in the room, Section 10102, and the changes that are coming up from the 1st of March 2020, and what you should be doing as an employer. So the object of my presentation this morning is to actually give you more flesh and delve deeper into some of these concepts, because now you've all graduated from Expat 101 and you remember everything, I hope. So I'm going to give you some more flesh now and give you some more substance into these topics. Right. So I like to start off with a good quote, and this is the object for me today and hopefully for you guys as well. The difference between something good and something great is attention to detail. And this really resonates with me, and you will see this in practice. I mean, we all like to see the big picture, but sometimes you really have to get down to the nitty-gritty, especially when it comes to mobility and taxes. Right, so let's not waste any more time. Let's look at your key policy design principles. So remember, with your mobility policy, there is no one-size-fits-all approach. This is usually determined by the length and the purpose of the assignment. So what is the golden rule when you design your mobility policy? And that is the employee should not be unduly advantaged or disadvantaged by reason of the international assignment. You should also remember, you should design these policies from a computational approach first. More often than not, you have these beautifully crafted policies which become totally unworkable when you have to get down to the actual costing and calculations. So this is imperative. And also, when you design your policy, you need to integrate input from your finance teams, your legal specialists. It should not be done in a silo effect or in isolation. And this is a crucial part in mobility, because I see more often than not where organizations have like a few expats, they do not have policies in place. And why is this important? You know, SARS is targeting organizations with expats, and that is one of the key documents they're going to ask for. Also, from an administrative purpose, if every expat is an exception, and we know expats are very special, you're going to make your lives an absolute nightmare to manage. Right, what other key design principles do you need to understand when you design your policy? The first thing is that you need to look at the employee net take-home. Remember, your employees and your expats are really only truly concerned with their true take-home pay. And as I explained in Expat 101, tax equalisation and protection give you that certainty, that contractual certainty to that net take-home pay. But you should also consider all the other benefits that your expatriates receive. So you need to approach this from a holistic aspect that they would have received if they still remained at home. And that includes, I've listed some of their retirement savings, insurances, medical aid, etc. You also need to factor into account all the other benefits which actually provide no economic value to the expats, because they don't impact their direct net take-home pay, but you have to factor these into account. Your home flights, your security, school fees, I mean, the list is actually endless. And employers should provide some form of computational tool to your expats to show them what is their net take-home pay. Remember, failed assignments for expatriates are just too expensive. So this is crucial. Right, what is your next key design principle? You need to look at what is the cost to the employer. Remember, the employer should always know what is the true cost that this assignment is costing them. It's also always more expensive to use an expat rather than a local employee. And that's because your expats come at a premium. You always add a lot of benefits and costings on top of their packages, and I've listed a few there on my slide. And there should always be a good business reason why you want to use an expatriate. And where this is not present, a local employer, as I mentioned, is usually more cost effective. And then your last principle is that you need to ensure there's absolutely full compliance. So there should be an express statement, both in your policy as well as the employment contract around compliance. And you need to adopt an approach where you fully comply with all the laws in the various jurisdictions that you have expats in. And remember, compliance is very broad. It extends further than just one area like tax, visas, and I've listed quite a few. You've got to consider all these options, and it becomes quite technical and complex. When I was in Hatch, I also administered the HRIS system, and you've got to factor those labour practices into like your leave quotas, for argument's sake. And remember, these compliance rules can extend fully to your local laws, as well as the employer's internal policies. So a nice practical example here was when we sent expats to Saudi or the Middle East, the guys who wanted to gym had to wear long pants and comply with those local laws and regulations. They were not allowed to show flesh or any skin. The same with drinking habits. When we had expats to Madagascar, South Africa is unfortunately known to have a high AIDS rate. So one of the conditions were that the expats would not fraternize with any of the locals. And remember, this is actually, I know we laugh and we don't take it seriously, but it actually is, because you can risk reputational damage in the country and hamper, further business opportunities in there. So these things, unfortunately, expats are not always good. These things are absolutely crucial that your expats understand the repercussions if they don't comply with all these regulations.